Good day, racing fans, and welcome to the rFactor 2 GT Pro Series, powered by VCO Esports for round 3, and a lot of action with cars basically everywhere, fast lap times, and the best 30 GT drivers from all around the world. My name is Randy Bodley, and alongside I got Lee Smith bringing all the action, and Lee, action has to happen here, right? Like on this track.
Absolutely, and it's a great track as well. Virginia International, absolutely love this one. Been watching, obviously, the guys warming up for the last hour and sort of prepping themselves up for the qualifying times. Same old people at the top. We'll see whether that can change throughout. Obviously, we've got some cracking drivers throughout the sim world in rFactor 2. The very best taking part in the GT Pro Series.
We are in round 3 out of 6 in this Season 2 Pro Series, and it's the usual format for everyone out there. It's a 15-minute sprint race and a 45-minute feature race. There's a 15-minute qualification prior that's already running in the background, so we'll jump into that in just a second. That will define the starting grid for the 50-minute race, and then in the feature race, we actually have the top 10 flipped and everyone else as they finished on the previous race. Interesting weather though, partial cloudy with 5 to 15%. That could be rain.
Could be rain. That would be good. I would like that, but we'll see.
It will make things a lot harder for everyone. I'm absolutely sure about that. So far, everything stayed dry in Season 2. As you can see on the calendar, Virginia International Raceway, that's where we are right now. Then we head over to Germany and the famous Nurburgring before we stop in the US for Indianapolis. And you probably spotted already, round 6. Yeah, Spa-Francorchamps will be our last round, the final on the rFactor GT Pro Series Season 2 here. The new track that is coming to the sim in this month, actually.
I was very impressed how quick people guessed that, by the way. Of just like about 3 blocks, and people had guessed it was Spa. That was impressive. I was just like, good God, the dedication. So I think it's as soon as they saw the trees, they're like, it's Spa, we know this one.
Yeah, or the building. I mean, the building gave it away slightly, I would say. But let's jump into Virginia International Raceway first in the qualification. And to what will be another great race. Absolutely sure. We've got Erhan Yayovsky from R8G Esports on the screen right now in it's a typical Corvette GT3. It's a Callaway Corvette GT3. Very successful, Yayovsky and the entire team, the last races. So everyone's basically looking at them again to dominate Virginia, but we also know there can be surprises.
I mean, dominate Virginia. They've got the top 3 locked out right now. I mean, they are looking to dominate. Obviously, Risto Capit, he was leading last race and had that slight error on the second to last lap, and it cost him in the end, and Yayovsky went through. Just a little bit of pressure. Totally unforced error as well. Just purely the pressure of having Yayovsky, his teammate and the current champion, on his rear view mirror. Cost him the place, and he ended up going down and losing. I think he ended up like 5th or 6th, didn't he, after the spin? It certainly cost him a lot of points. Obviously, Nikodem Wisniewski from the Williams team, he is way down, hasn't posted a time yet, so we're going to see whether he can get himself up there. I was watching obviously the practice. Yayovsky was the fastest through practice, and you can see he's at the top of the table, only just though very close between his teammates. And there we go, as I mentioned, Wisniewski, there he is. He just posts himself a time, but he's just outside those 3 Roman Grosjean esports drivers.
Yeah, Wisniewski obviously looks at the championship, actually. He gave us a quote earlier this season when we talked to the drivers and asked them for how Season 1 was and what they're actually planning for Season 2. And Nikodem Wisniewski said that he wants to fight for the championship title. He was very good in Season 1. And in Season 2, he said he wants to prepare more, work more towards race wins, because he got a bit unlucky, he says, and tries to grab the title this season. But it will be very hard, because you're right, the R8G Esports guys, they are super strong. They are able to support each other on the track, and with Yayovsky, Capit, and Castor currently the top 3, it will be a monster challenge here for Wisniewski, for Williams Esports. Even if he qualifies the top 5, it's still hard to actually pass them. Simoncic on 5th. Johnny Simoncic coming off a new grab title, basically. He just won the FSR The Race IndyCar Series, I think 1 day ago, 2 days ago, 1 day ago. on Sunday. So
Yep.
he's coming from a high here to Virginia, and I'm absolutely sure he wants to showcase a similar dominant performance as he did in the IndyCar Series.
Speaking of new drivers and speaking to them, I can see Arisi and Kanistraki putting very good performances in. You can see they've just been bounced outside the top 10 as soon as the commentator curse kicks in. They were up there, but Brzezinski just posted himself a very nice time. Obviously, the other Williams driver with Mala posted himself a nice time. Nuno Pinto up there in 11th as well. There's a name I've not uttered in a couple of races. Obviously hasn't had that much performance. Alex Siebel just getting himself up in the 8th place, and Ferris Stanley in 7th. Ferris Stanley, the leader for a large portion of time in the previous race on Portland. On the main race, obviously after finishing 10th place, did flip him over. In the end, I think he finished down about 5th or 6th in the main race as well. But put up a good performance for Ferris Stanley. Great to see him doing that. Alex Siebel as well. In race number 1, actually had a very good performance alongside his teammate, but in the end couldn't quite hold on. He's just got himself a nice time in there, up in 8th place, and they are all separated by, well, around about 1 second. I can see it's about 1 second down to 24th, which is Chiara. So 1 second between 1st to 24th right now, separating the field.
Yeah, we just saw Daniel Kanistraki ending his run there. Was not happy with the time he would be able to post. He is driving for the Waveframe esports team. They just had a huge race this week, like last weekend, the P1 Gaming 24 Hours of Nurburgring on rFactor 2, where unfortunately him and Lorenzo Arisi, they were leading the race for the majority of the time, and then they blew the engine of the Corvette later on at the famous Green Hell, and with that lost the win there for Waveframe Esports. That was very unfortunate for them, but great performance from all of their drivers. So they have a very strong team. So is Hani Al-Sabti, who I kind of have the feeling Al-Sabti is not on the same page anymore as he was in season 1. But everything got a lot harder for him this season, and it seems like he's really struggling to get the performance out of the car like he was able in season 1. So he has to score some bigger points. We see a Sanja driver, Jan van der Heijden, now being the strongest with 11th, and with Rivio being in 23rd, and we know that Jonas Rivio, he can really score big if he's in the mood for it, basically.
Al-Sabti's just answered your criticism. 3rd place for him. I was about to say he actually missed the Portland race, didn't he? Which is actually costly because the drivers will have 1 race they can remove in terms of points throughout the season. Well, the fact that he missed the Portland race means he doesn't have that fallback option, so he absolutely has to deliver. He did deliver in the first race at Sebring. He got himself, I think it was 2nd place, wasn't he, overall? 35 points. He won the main race. So certainly delivered there. And of course, that means for the rest of the field, that Roman Grosjean have got, well, currently 4 out of the top 5 locked out with Al-Sabti back in action. This could be a very, very one-sided appearance. We had them, I think it was 3 or 4 adrift astride on the first race on Sebring. But look at this. Jimmy Nasula throwing a time in there and getting himself splitting the Roman Grosjean Esports boys. Yeah,
with that also being Kevin Siggy out of the top 5 there, the Team Redline driver on the BMW, so the only BMW you see up front there. While we got Martin Dillon in the Ferrari 488 GT3, very sideways in that corner there on 21 so far, and not looking good. The Ferraris have been okay-ish, I would say, in Portland. And, important to notice is that we had a first season BOP, so of the 2 races we had the first BOP adjustment. So the Corvette's actually got a few more kilos, the same for the BMW. So the Corvette should struggle a bit more with straight line speed now during the race. The Porsche lost, I think, 10 kilograms. So they are now a bit lighter than they had been in the previous races, but on the other hand, they're still not looking super strong, I would say, or driver's not fast enough on him, because Peyo Patterson 24th right now on that Porsche. I'm currently not seeing where, speaking of Shara is, so he's probably behind that as well. Yeah, Shara in 26th, with Wojciech Polesny in another 488 on 29th. Nico Bartley, 28th for 1ACO. Arne Schönfeld, we talked about him every single time that he's not in a Porsche anymore, and I kind of think that's That's very sad because he performed so well in Season 1 on it. And now in the Corvette, still doing good for Ajira Racing there with 9th position, still inside the top 10, and so is Roman Panzer for Burst Esports. So that's the teammate of Simoncic on 5th. They got 5th and 10th for them. Borja Milan coming across the line soon here. Got 2 green sectors for him while we approach the last 2.5 minutes of the qualification thing. He's actually going up to 25th. All right. It's a bit better than where he started. While Jan van der Heijden still tries to find his way back into the top 10 there.
Yeah, it's a pretty fast track overall. I'm interested to see where the main overtaking points will be. We're expecting them obviously down the back straight as they go into the roller coaster effectively, which is the little S bend down that back straight. Maybe we could see a couple of Hail Marys down the south bend or down towards the curve, the main curve, which is the Oak Tree curve, way down the end. Whether we see any Hail Marys going for that, of course, if you to remember back to Portland, we were pretty much stuck to that one overtake point. There are a couple of chances. Maybe we'll get someone over the start-finish straight. I don't know, though. That's a bit of a risky one on the horseshoe, I feel.
Yeah, if we remember the Season 1 where we visited Virginia International Raceway for the very first time,
yeah,
we had these overtakes into the S's that you mentioned already, definitely. We had a lot of door-to-door and side-by-side action there, which was great. In the Oak Tree corner, the issue there was people going in way too hot and then missing the braking point, touching the grass with just the rear tires, and then basically spinning off. We saw Kevin Siggy spinning off there in Season 1, if I remember correctly, and a few other drivers. So while the track is very fast and floating, the issue is that you can lose control that easily. Like, you touch the grass somewhere, grip is gone, car spins off, and as you can see here now on the cockpit perspective of Ernst, there's a lot of ground everywhere, right? It's not like Nordschleife where you have the walls right next to the track. There's so much space. If you spin out, you're basically lost. Well, we see Ernst going sideways over that crest. Look at that beautiful. Well, he comes over that crest into the turn. Very spectacular, I would say. We even get that picture. I think that was.
I think
no, it's not planned.
The biggest issue as well with the horseshoe, just after the start finish, is the fact that you can maybe get up the inside, but the problem is you're on the outside for the next 4 corners. So it's if you're not in position ahead of the car, you're never going to hold that place, which is probably where that one's not going to be really viable. But we can see we're just 10 seconds left of the qualifying. Risto Capit currently leading the field by, what is that? It's more than 9,000. So it's 9. It's a lot. no, 9,000. So it is 9,000. So I have eyes. It's good. So it is going to be Roman Grosjean Esports that will lock it out. Risto Capit and Yajovski and Yuri Kastorp getting himself 1, 2, and 3. Nikita Wisniewski has got a lot of work to do to try and carve his way through that field. Obviously, he's currently 2nd in the championship, so he's certainly the one to watch as we get into the sprint race. Top 10, well, Arnie Schunflet is going to be down there in that 10th place. We'll see whether they can make a difference. Who is the highest? I guess Kevin Siggy in the BMW will be the highest finisher for the non-Corvettes, as you mentioned, with the changes. So there is the confirmations on your screen.
It's definitely looking good. Also, Sancho, they now made up a lot of positions. We see Jan van der Heijden 9th, and then I think his teammate, Jonas Raivio, he made it to 11th. So that's looking good for Sancho, that are basically new into the GT Pro Series. Also, Simoncic, without his teammate around him as a support. I didn't saw Michi higher today. Oh, he is 19th. All right. Just quickly checking where I lost him because we didn't talk about him at all. Jakub Brzezinski for the Mahler Racing Team, only in 14th. He will not be happy about that. Lorenzo Risi, obviously coming up from the GT Challenge Season 1. So he's doing very well so far in the Pro. Ferris Stanley, 15th, now that he ditched the AMG Mercedes from Season 1 for the Corvette. Doing a lot better. Both Evolution Motorsport cars tracked next to each other with Dennis Jordan and Alex Siebel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see Arisi up there. You know, obviously we had the chats with them in the week, so we've sort of had a couple of words with them. It's great to see that they are starting to deliver. You know, obviously their goals coming into this from the Challenger. You know, you're always going to have these lofty hopes that you can get into that top 10, but, you know, they're both realistic. They're both grounded. Talking about, you know, top 15, top 20. That's what they're sort of looking towards. And that's where they're delivering right now. You can see Arisi is going to be starting out in 13th place. It's a great position for him to be in his very first GT Pro Series.
Yeah, definitely. Go back. We got the info for round-by-round prize money. Just to remind everyone that there's obviously money on the line in each and every race, and then there's the championship prize pool at the end with 3,000 euros on top for the first. So you probably made some bucks already with the race wins if you're the champion, and then there's another sweet 3,000 on top. Of course, we also now introduced the fastest lap in sprint and main race as additional payment. So pretty sure that drivers will appreciate that, and we'll see them racing for all of that and additional prizes like the Fanatec steering wheels, obviously brought to you by Fanatec, one of the sponsors of the series. And then for the champion, a full setup for his home rig. So you can't definitely not complain about that. That's for sure. And I see the cars in the background already lining up for the pace lap before we get the sprint race underway here. So let's have a quick look once again at the grid. Obviously, Risto Capet, he will start the race for us with his teammate Ernie right next to him, and then Yuri Kastor before there's a first non-RAG esports driver, which is Wisniewski on his Corvette. Jimmy Nisulov for Satellite Racing, super strong in 5th. I think he will be very proud of that. Johnny Simic at 6th, then Halsapti and Siggy. Siggy, the quickest non-Porsche, non-Corvette driver. Jan von der Heide and Arne Schoenfeld, that's the top 10.
Yeah, and to give these guys some love, you know, we always love to support the drivers as best we can. A lot of these drivers, if you want their first-person view, to have a multi-stream setup going on, I can see that Yuri is streaming, Yuri Kastorp. I can see Risto Capit's on there as well, Michi Hoyer's going there, Nuno Pinto. Basically, everyone that's sort of taking part has got themselves set up in their rig and ready to drive and ready to race. Obviously, don't interrupt them. They're not probably going to interact with you in chat because they're pretty focused on the race.
They should be.
But it's great to go. Feel free to get in there, drop them a follow, and give yourself a perspective of just how damn good these guys are at this game. You know, in terms of sim racing capabilities, a lot of them have started to, apply their trade effectively in real life as well. It's great to see Rudy Van Buren doing very well, although didn't have the greatest result the weekend that he was hoping for. But, you know, it's great to see these guys that can make that transition, and that's obviously what the lofty goal of most of these drivers are. But what a fantastic lineup. I know that certainly Roman Grosjean Esports are going to be happy about this front 3 lockout. It looks fantastic when they're all in the liveries like this.
We should probably make it a rule that they can only win if Roman Grosjean is actually on the stream and interacting with everyone. If he's not, then they all get
they get 0
DQ'd.
points.
Yeah, 0 points for everyone. Then we just start the race behind them. I think that will be fine. But yeah, it is helpful having your teammates right next to you. Gets a lot of pressure off your shoulders, and I think that Capet and Kastup, Yayovsky, they will really appreciate having their own cars around them. But there's Nikitin Wisniewski. We know how aggressive and fast he can be, and he will definitely use every single chance he can get to move up some positions and maybe destroy the beautiful row of RHG esports drivers up front.
We should point out that these guys are all in the same channel together as well, so it's not like they're not communicating. There is very much chatter between them as if there's anything that needs to be said. I'm talking about the teams, the drivers, and it's like very clear, the big block of 4 drivers from Roman Grosjean up the front there. I think Al Sabti will be saying, guys, can you help me out back here? That is 7th, but he's certainly going to be capable of doing it himself as we set ourselves up down the hill. It's very interesting, the elevations on this track. It's quite a high hill, downhill, uphill on the S's. It's really can be quite tricky in some spots.
It definitely is, and it adds a lot to the driving as well. Like, most drivers really like tracks with a lot of elevation changes, and since we've talked about different cars in the BOP already, and I can obviously see that channel is talking about it as well, calling it symbolic, I think that's wrong with the BOP in general, because now that everyone is on a Corvette, you can't really balance it out until a non-Corvette driver is winning, right? I mean, we could just boost the BMW for that, or make the Porsche twice as quick. If you have the best drivers all sitting on a Corvette, then I guess we could make the Corvette as heavy as we want. We still have these guys leading, and so is Risto Capano starting the sprint race for us, going into turn 1 with all of his teammates right behind. There's a bit of bunching and going side by side. We can see that there, but it seems that Capet had a beautiful launch off the line there for him, not being in any issues. Oh, look at that. Wisniewski is still in 4th. No, yeah, in 4th. So nothing to gain for him at all, but they bunched up really hard in the background.
Yeah, this is through the S section. You can see it's going to be a little cheeky through the left hook as they're going to go down through the snake now, down towards the main area of the South Bend and then in towards the big oak tree curve. It looks fantastic when you see them going through the S's like that. Absolutely fantastic stuff, but no real positional changes.
Went off. One of the Wayframe Esports cars went off in the background.
Grosjean going off.
Yeah, and that is Wisniewski going side by side now against Yuri Kastov, if I saw that correctly.
It was Yuri,
yeah, Jimmy Nisula sitting right behind that, basically waiting for any of them to make a mistake and maybe making it around. And there's another car. This is a AAA Esports Corvette. Yeah, that is. So we see someone dropping through. Who was that? Is that
Simic is trying to put a move on Wisniewski. They are side by side. Wisniewski spun. He's spun. He just connected with Yuri Kastov. Oh, and he's connected Kastov. This is a disaster on the corner. It's down towards the oak tree as well. Once again, it's where we expected contact to be made, and it has worked badly for the two drivers. Jimmy Nisula will benefit from this. He moves up to third place. Yuni Simic in fourth place, and now Kevin Siggy in the BMW up to fifth.
Yeah, Kevin Siggy will be very happy about that chance there to make some positions without fighting for them. But that was very unfortunate for Wisniewski. He said that he had some issues with that and getting into a lot of fights that he didn't want to get into in Season 1 because he always started further down the pack. He said, if I get further up, then I don't have to fight that hard and I don't spin that much. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for him here in Virginia so far. We see the two Sancho cars right behind each other. That's Van der Heide in the front and Ravio in the back. They can work through that field now, but they got Kevin Siggy in front of them, and we know how good Kevin Siggy can defend this position. We saw that in Portland, but the BMW was definitely not up to pace, and he had to defend from lap 1 to the last one.
Yeah, Wisniewski went off a second time as well after that. So this is going to be the initial. This is Kevin Rotting. This is down with, is that Peo Pev that's alongside him there? I think it may have been. Kevin Rotting going off on the replay. But yeah, Wisniewski went off again after what we saw on the screen. So he's way down, unfortunately, in the field, down into 27th now. So that is his race pretty much done, barring anything immaculate, effectively. So currently the leader, Risto Capit, with Ian Yolski still up behind him, as it was in Portland. We'll see whether that holds station, because Yolski is putting a lot of pressure on him. Further down the field, Jimmy Nisula in third place, Simic in fourth now, Siggy in fifth, and the two Sanchos, both Jan van der Heide and Yunus Ravio. Yunus Ravio doing very well in the championship currently right now in fourth place. Would love to be able to get himself some big points on the board here.
Another car went off before the S's, saw them on a different camera. So it seems like it's interesting, like the front is a bit more spread, but back in the pack, we see this one here. That's Brzezinski against Dennis Jordan. So Evolution versus Mahler. And I think Dennis Jordan will have the upper end here. He got the insight for the next turn, but Michi Hoyer also wants to dive through that. Look at that. There was an opening, and Michi Hoyer wants to use it immediately, but he's not passing Brzezinski just yet. Maybe on the exit there. And then, oh, that's Peo Paf getting involved as well there with the, one of the two Porsches that we have on the field. And it seems like Brzezinski is dropping down massively right now because the Porsche also passed him. You now see a AAA Corvette right behind the Mahler sim racing Corvette there. So Brzezinski in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, there was a bit of pressure on Kevin Siggy as well. They tried to put a move on him. Jan van der Heide did, but as we talked about at the start of the show, you know, if you're going into the after the start finish straight, that corner on the horseshoe, you are going to be on the outside. If you try and dive that inside dive, it's generally not going to work out. And that's exactly what happened. Kevin Siggy got himself positioned back on track, gets himself back in the front of them. There is a bit of a pack forming behind the two Sanchos, actually. So keep your eye on that. That's from about 6th down to about 12th there, with Yuri Kastorp at the back of that pack behind Ferris Stanley once again. So definitely starting to look to make some action. Speaking of that, I say that Yuri Kastorp is making the move, going past Ferris Stanley, and he's going to dive in the inside again.
The replay we just saw, that was the Wisniewski incident, and I have to say that was definitely not on Wisniewski. He was just there, and the Roman Grosjean Corvette just cut into the inside of the corner and basically killed the Williams car. Very unfortunate for him. Still good for Captain Yovsky, who are leading in front of Jimmy Nisula, who now doesn't have that Williams in front of him anymore. Kevin Siggy still in 5th, doing a lot better than in Portland, where he was under constant attacks there. It was really hard for him to keep the car in front. Simic still in 4th, hunting down Nisula, so it will be very interesting to see if the Burst Esports driver can apply some pressure there. And then it's the two Sancho cars, Alsapti, Arisi, and Castorp. So Lorenzo Arisi not up to 10th. That would be pole position for the main race if it stays like that for the remainder of the race.
Yeah, but I think Yuri Kastorp's got something to prove here. Obviously, after the spin, he's dispatched of Ferry Stanley, easily passed him, and now closing that gap on Lorenzo Arisi. Like I say, that's Kevin Siggy that's kind of like the blockade, effectively, of this group. And Yuri Kastorp is slowly closing on this pack of 5 cars to try and get himself back in place. But a great drive from Arisi to see him up in 10th.
Definitely showing why he's actually made the way into Pro from the GT Challenge Series. Obviously, GT Challenge, that's next week, Monday, with Aiden Millwood and Lewis McGlade. You can watch that. That are all the drivers in the feeder series that try to make the move into GT Pro for Season 3. So very interesting. Johnny Simichus, now all the slipstream available to him onto Jimmy Nisula, trying the inside. There will be the outside for the next corner, but he's getting the move done very early. No chance for him to close the gap on the inside, though, and still made it at the end of those S's. Amazing move here.
Yeah, super clean move as well. Credit to Jimmy Nisula, making sure he didn't turn in too heavily and clipping the back end of Kevin Siggy. Could easily have gone wrong. This is back down near the start, I believe. This is way down in the pack as well. This is the meat and grind of it. You can see that's Brzezinski ahead of him as well. There's the Porsche getting very bumpy and sending Daniel off. And there goes Brzezinski on the replay.
Yeah, there was a contact with Payo Path, I think that was. And then Canistracci. Did he got a bump from the back, though? Like, I think he got bumped and lost his rear wing there, so basically race over for him. Very unfortunate. A lot of things changed. We saw that Peter Bielak for Williams Esports. He's already out of business, basically. Daniel Canistracci also a DNF. And then Jakub Brzezinski, after the issues we saw there, where he dropped down. I'm not sure if he had any damage. He started 13th and he's now in 28th. So not good at all.
No, not good. Not good at all, that's for sure. But what is good is the front two. Risto Capit and Yayovski still continuing to deliver. What was that replay you just saw there?
That was Peter Bielak losing a tyre. Yes. And I wonder what was the contact there. I think
he was involved with the with the other replay we just watched. He was all sort of all caught up in the same mess, effectively.
It's not looking good right now for Williams Esports, with Peter Bielak being out already, Nikodem Wisniewski only in 26th, and Brzezinski for Mal in 28th.
Alsapti is passed, by the way. Alsapti, you can see him on your screen there. He has managed to get past Lorenzo Arisi. So tell a lie. I'm mixing up my Roman Grosjean Esports. He's actually the sandwich, the meat between two breads of Alsapti and Kastorp at the moment. But the main part is that Kastorp is back now on his rear wing, where he was 2 seconds adrift alongside Ferry Stanley. He's actually made up that 2-second gap, which is very impressive in the short time that we've had. There's now still 5 minutes remaining. More importantly, Yuri Kastorp, we know if he gets that pole position start, bearing in mind, obviously, we flip it on the sprint into the main 45-minute race. If he can get that 10th place, it's going to be very hard to take it from him.
Definitely, he will do everything to keep it that way, that's for sure. Risto Capit still in the lead, started first, and still in front of Erniowski, his teammate. So these two didn't change a single position so far, while we see Nikodem Wisniewski pulling into the pits, actually. So probably his race will be over as well. I wonder what happened there. Not really fast. Let's look into the group. Nuno Pinto, he went from 21st to 17th. Obviously, a lot of people dropped out there, so they all gained positions. Michi Hoyak only in 15th. Here chasing down Dennis Jordan, and then it's Alex Siebel, so that are both Evolution Motorsports cars, the 11 and the 25. And then it's Ferry Stanley, that's the red Corvette you see in the distance. Well, Erniowski's now trying against his teammate, against Risto Capit, and it seems like Risto will away the lead here. Oh, Erniowski a bit slidey through the assist, but managing to hold on to it, and he's our new leader.
Just carrying out a little bit too much speed, but managed to get away with it, as you say. Really nicely done. Still going a little bit sideways there, so he's managing to blast on through. We'll see what he can post now. Obviously was the one of the fastest in practice and qualifying. That does mean that obviously he's going to get past Risto. He's currently the championship leader as well. So was the first person to finish the sprint race and the main race first place. So a fantastic performance from Yoyovsky last week. So he's looking to retain his title. We're still only coming into the halfway marker, of course, but already throwing the marker down to everybody else in the field.
Yeah, that's true. Yoyovsky is one of those names you will always hear when it's about grabbing a championship and actually becoming the title winner. Well, we see Kevin Sigge right now. He seems a lot closer to Jimmy Nisula right now, but also Jan von der Heide is pushing from the back, so this will not be easy at all for the red line BMW. Seeing that's Jimmy Nisula in front of him, and then right behind that's Jan von der Heide for Sancho. So we had these issues with the, well, it's not issues, but challenges for the pro drivers last season as well. With this championship being so close in terms of times and performance, if you want to make a move, you have to be sure it actually works out, because otherwise you might drop 1 or even 2 positions. Yeah,
Rene, I think we're going to have to be keeping our eye on Yuri Kastorp. He's very much on the back end of Lorenzo Risi. Obviously, with 3 minutes to go, not even that now, 2.5 minutes. Oh, as I say that, Sigge is looking to make the move. Has he got the drive to get through? It looks like he has. And he gets in past Jimmy Nisula. Nisula's starting to go backwards here. Obviously, Simicic passed him once already. Going to be a little unhappy with that. But the BMW making a move and taking a Corvette in the top 5. That's massive.
Yeah, great move here by Kevin Sigge, especially since Portland was all about defending, and now it seems that the BMW is running a lot better for him here after the BOP in Virginia. But what happened here to Brzezinski? We saw him a bit like wiggling left and right, and then all of a sudden he really drops some performance. Look at that. He's not keeping the car on the tarmac anymore. Then he spins out, nearly hitting, what was that? That was one of the 1ACO cars. There was another 1ACO car in the grass. So, wonder what really happened, if he put a touch from the back or something went wrong with his wheel maybe.
Sabti very close to Schoenflitt there, almost collecting him. Almost brake checking, if anything. Arisi is getting right on his bumper as well. I feel like they're going to try and make a move here. 1.5 minutes. Arisi has a little look for Al Sabti to see if he can get by, but still through the S's. You can see Yuri closing. There's running out of time with a minute left on the clock. They're going to have one more lap. That's about all they're going to be giving us. Yoyovsky already down that main start-finish straight. He's going to be looking to try and make this move. He's got it. He's got to go for it. It's now or never for Kastorp. He's either going to be starting 11th or he's going to be starting in 1st.
Definitely way better to get the pole position for the feature race, but won't be easy to get around Lorenzo Risi, that's for sure. Especially, as I said, he just lost the win on the Nurburgring 24 Hours in P1 Gaming, and that's a good spot right there with the front.
Oh, his teammate.
Yeah, he's basically blocking him, and that opened the door for Kastorp, but Risi still sticking to 10th position, not giving it away here. I love that one. It's like,
that's credit to Risi.
Go anywhere.
Yeah. Al Sabti basically almost blocking the brakes that he has to slow down and give up position, but he's just no, I will not. And just really great defensive racing from obviously the challenger that finished, I think he was 2nd or 3rd, wasn't he, in the series, in the challenger series, to get himself the promotion. No, Risi. No, he's gone wide, and that's cost him the spot. Just as I give him the commentator's curse, it sends him down to 12th place. Just runs wide, and that puts Yuri up into 10th place.
Yeah, also Ferry Stanley for HM Engineering went through, so that's why he's in 12th right now. Really, that for him, we see that here in the replay again. Oh, he
just came in too hot.
Yeah, that's the corner we talked about in the qualification. Like, if you're too hot there, you nearly always end in a spin. I mean, he kept it straight. That was a lot better than the guys who normally touch the rear tires on the grass there and then spin out, because that costs even more time. So him only dropping 2 positions, that's still fine, but the clock's out, so it's nearly done now. It's the last corners for the Sancho guys if they want to make a move around Jimmy Nisula, who currently is in 5th, and then both Sancho cars, Von der Heide and Rivia right behind them. Arne Schoenflitt is the car in the background. Obviously, Arisi in 12th. Nothing will happen there for him anymore. Probably with Ferry Stanley, it's also not easy to overcome that quickly. We see that Jan von der Heide already went for a move that enabled Jonas Rivia to actually close the gap a bit, but none of them could win or gain any position so far.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get past Nisula here. He's had his moment, he's had his chance, and obviously now with the leader, Yayovsky, picking up the win, I think he's really got one little chance. They're going to get to the back straight. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. There we go. Race coming through. What a great result for Yayovsky. I mean, he's just proved how dominant he can be. Obviously, there was a little bit of contact in there. Obviously, we'll leave that to the stewards about Nikodem Wisniewski. He's going to be down in 27th, unfortunately. We'll be able to conclude the race and obviously collect his points. But yeah, considering for Nikodem, I think he had a pretty rough result in Portland. This is one that he really wanted to try and pick up. It was a 16th place in the sprint race, now a 27th. Definitely not going to be great for him. We'll see what he can do, whether he can turn it around in the main race.
He has to. They all want to score some points. I mean, we're in round 3 out of 6, so not done yet. Interesting, though, with Yayovsky and Kapin in 1 and 2, they will start 10th and 9th, while their teammates, Osapti and Castor, will now end with 1st and 2nd. So Roman Grosjean basically just switching positions with their own cars. Simoncic on the podium. That will be nice for him, that's for sure. Schunfeld in 8th. You will be happy, especially with the 2 RAG esports cars right behind him. Jimmy Nisula, unfortunately for him there, that he lost the position to Kevin Siggy, but Kevin Siggy once again showing that the BMW is capable of running inside the top 5 and that he's one of the top drivers to do so. So I really like that. Ferrastelli 11th, Lorenzo Risi, we saw that the mistake that cost him the pole position in the main race, very unfortunate. And then the 2 Evolution Motorsport cars with Siebel and Jordan.
So still plenty of overtaking. It's good to see, you know, good performances. Very Stanley there from HM Engineering in 11th place, just missing the cut-off, of course. Lorenzo Risi, I feel for him. He was coming in on the second to last lap, it was, where he made that mistake after defending so well against the 2 Romain Grosjean esports drivers. Postage between the 2, and unfortunately, it does mean it's not the end of the world. He's starting 12th place in the main race. You know, he's still certainly going to be able to make up places. He's going to have Ferris Stanley and then Erhan Yayovsky just ahead of him. So if you can ride on the coattails of Yayovsky, maybe you can see his way through there as Yayovsky looking to do a repeat of what happened in Portland. Started out in that 10th place after winning the sprint race and managed to work his way through the field and pick up the victory as well. Risto Capit, of course, will be alongside him just as he was in Portland.
Well, we get a quick look at the Marlin and Williams Racing cars that we have. And they had a horrible sprint race here in Virginia International Raceway. We saw it there. It's like second to last, 26th, I think, for Wisniewski and Brzezinski. So not where they want to be at all, especially now that they have the support of Peter Bierlock for this season. Interesting that they all drive a different livery, though. So Bierlock is in the purple one, then you've got Wisniewski in front in the classic white and blue, and then the Marler Racing livery for Jakub Brzezinski. A team that showed a lot of performance already in Season 1, and Wisniewski was actually aiming for the title here in Season 2, but if he wants to keep that dream alive, then he has to be a lot stronger than what he showed us in the sprint race. Except we're now switching over to the 45-minute main race with the top 10 flipped. And it's still partial cloudy with a chance of rain. So we'll see if that actually comes in at one point or if everything stays dry. And especially if it starts raining, then the real question is, did any of them prepare for that? Because with a 45-minute race, it's not the same as the long endurance races that many of these guys run, the big major events, where you basically have a plan for whatever happens and a setup for whatever happens. But in the Pro Series, and with how tight it is, the car needs to run fast in dry because you want to make sure with the dry qualification that we ran here that you stay up front.
Yeah, I think it's more like Dumb and Dumber type of chance of rain, though, more than anything. It's like, you're saying there's a chance. 5%. I think we're going to have a nice dry evening once again here. In terms of championship, let's have a look. Let's see how this is going to shake out, because we talked about, obviously, the fact that Hani Al-Sabti was down in 5th place, obviously. Didn't have the greatest finish. I think it was 8th or 9th in the end there, wasn't he? So a little bit adrift from the field. It does give a really big chance once again for Yuri to Oh, I would say close the gap on Ihan Yayovsky, but he's not going to close the gap because Ihan posted better result again. But it does mean that Yuri's most likely going to move up into second place in the championship if he can post a good result here in obviously the main 45-minute race, which is what he's going to be looking towards. And also, we got to give credit to Kevin Siggy. What a great performance. Obviously, yes, the BOP has had this change. It's worked out well. You know, he stuck it out with the BMW. We know he can qualify. We know he can get these great times. We saw it in Portland. He posted a great result, was basically defending for the 45 minutes of the race and just trying to hold position. But now he's in a position where he's actually able to put challenges onto these Corvettes, getting himself into that fourth place finish. A fantastic drive from a guy that was challenging for the championship last season.
It will be interesting to see what he can do in the remainder of this season. I mean, there's still 3 races to come, and one of them is Nurburgring, so a track that most of these guys ran plenty of times. Obviously, it's the GP track, not Nordschleife, not the Green Hell. And then we've got Indianapolis, one of the classic tracks in rFactor 2, before we head to a brand new one, which will be Spa-Francorchamps, releasing in November. So that's a new clean slate for everyone, even though probably everyone already drove that track at one point in their career.
Everybody knows that track.
It's not like it's something.
What is this new track?
unknown.
I've never heard of this Belgium thing.
What's that? No, it won't be like that, but still, it will be a new track in rFactor 2. So first of all, it's great to see the first screenshots on social medias. There should be a trailer following soon, showing the first moving pictures of it. So it will be very interesting to who will become the very first winner on an official competition on that track. Even though that won't be the first one, 21st of December. I think there is an official event right before that, actually. So people will have plenty of experience then already.
Something that I think is going forward in the future, I'm talking, you know, and we talked about this when you drove me around the Nurburgring, is just how the elevations is hard to put across in a game as it is in a car. You know, the feel under your seat as you go up this big hill and then over the ridge and drop down. It's like, these are the sort of feels that we've got to work on. You know that everybody's sitting in these racing rigs all comfy. We want some sort of pneumatics in there to start giving people the lifts effectively. I know you can get these new fancy pneumatic ones, but let's be realistic. Nobody's got space for that in their house.
Oh, you never know what people nowadays have. So,
well, I mean, with the likes of Jensen Button and co all getting involved, then yeah, they probably have. But I don't think your average Joe's got this sort of stuff. But yeah, these are things obviously going forward. But you know, sim racing has really gained a lot of attraction, obviously, over the COVID year that has been 2020, and going forward, I don't see it changing. So it's great to see people getting involved. I know we still see people coming into the challenge, sort of saying, "Is this on PC? Is this thing?" Obviously, there's people showing interest in getting themselves involved in these tournaments. And if you want to get involved, obviously, the Challenger Series is where you got to start off to get into these drivers. These are not guys that have just turned up overnight. These have been doing this for years and years, and very much practiced at their craft effectively to become the very best rFactor 2 sim drivers.
Yeah, and they prove that each and every week, basically, in the Pro Series. While we had a quick look once again at the highlight points of the racetrack here at Virginia, where we expect most of the overtaking, and I think the sprint race already proved that these are exactly the turns where drivers can make a move and maybe find a way around their opponent. And the main race, this will be even more crucial, especially for Risto Capet and Yayovsky. Oh, no, it's not Capet. Was it Capet in second? And now mix all of the RAG drivers up. It was Yayovsky winning.
It was Risto, yes.
It was Risto Capet, yeah, in second place. So
Yuri Kastrup will be starting on pole because of the 10th place. The knockout.
Kastrup and El Sapti now up front. So once again, RAG cars at the front. And I see Risto Capet using his wipers already, and I think there is some water on his windshield.
Ooh,
I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I see there was water, but that was in the warm-up session, so let's see what's happening. I would be really surprised, though, if we get rain in the main race, then that's a complete new chance for everyone. basically. So that won't be easy. I mean, we've got drying lines, so we've got enough cars on the track, and they all run similar lines. So it should dry out quickly if it's just a bit of rain. But still, it might catch some of these guys off guard.
Absolutely. I mean, there's me saying it'd be a 0% chance, and now just foot in mouth effectively. We'll see whether it works out. They did just lay some track down, lay some rubber down on the track, so obviously
we will
get themselves
set the grid and then
set themselves up on the grid. So which is why we've had this slightly more extended delay than we would in between, obviously the race, the sprint race and the main race.
Main race should actually start soon, but let's have a quick look once again at one of the other teams involved here, the Waveframe Esports team with Lorenzo Risi and Daniel Canistracci. Sat also big team in the world of endurance racing of rFactor 2. They were unlucky here in the sprint race. I mean, Risi was unlucky losing the 10th position right before the end, so not starting on pole. Canistracci had a spin earlier in the sprint race, so he's also not very far up the front in the grid for this race, but it is a team that has a lot of potential coming through with the GT Challenge series as powered by VCO in Season 2 so they have been there in Season 1, they're now coming into Pro in Season 2, one of the teams that made the way up, and it's great to see them being here and showing that they deserve to be on Pro level. So I'm just very happy with that we don't have anyone moving up from Pro that totally is off pace right now, and that really shows that the system currently works.
Absolutely, you don't want them to come up and be seconds adrift effectively, and I don't think that's ever really going to be the chance. Like even the gaps between them is really just practicing your racecraft effectively with the very best out there, and just learning the moves, getting to know, if anything, that's one of the big parts. Like once you've drove a season with somebody, you kind of, especially if you've been fighting with them, you kind of get a feel of like, okay, I know he's going to try and make the move on this corner because that's the style of driver he is. So you've got to learn that field obviously around you. But things are getting underway here. So as you see, it is going to be Yuri Kastorp and Al Sabti up at the front there, back down. Siebel and Jordan, they were obviously had a great race on Sebring in the Evolution Motorsports, but they are down in 13th and 14th right now. And Pev, I think, the leading Porsche in 15th place.
Yeah, he's in 16th, I actually think he will start on with the Porsche. Yeah, Michi Hoyer should be in 15th. We see Porsche Milan 1 ACO not really super strong in the sprint race. See the VIR for Sancho, that's the third Sancho car. Then speaking of Shara, also not as successful the Porsche as he thought he will be in Season 2. Robin Ponsard only 5th. And then Kevin Rotting, AAA Esports, obviously lost or shared a lot of drivers with RHG Esports. So AAA Esports was one of the main winning teams in Season 1. Now it is RHG. Peter Bielak, he will start last with Canistracci next to him. So both of these drivers were DNF'd in race 1, and we just talked about Waveframe Esports, a bit unlucky there in the sprint race. So let's see if they can make it up in the main race. 45 minutes, that gives a lot more time to actually dial in, make the moves, and try to climb up the ladder. But for that, they also need a good start, and we saw that in the sprint race. It can get a bit chaotic, although I have to say, Season 2 and the start so far, it was always very, very safe and clean.
And in fairness on this, especially on on Virginia, as opposed to Portland, actually, the very first corner, obviously, as you come into it on the horseshoe, generally, we saw in the sprint race that nobody's really making moves there because you're going to be on the outside. If you're on the inside, you're going to be on the outside for the next 4 corners. So it's all a case of getting yourself in a perfect position, then maybe start to edge for your position down the snake. And then obviously as you get down towards South End and the Oak Curve where we saw quite a few drivers going off, that's where we're going to start to see the main moves, even on the first lap, because it's just all about getting in that big position, whereas opposed to, say, Portland, where we were in the previous race, obviously the big corner was that start-finish straight corner, so everybody looking to make the moves there. But here we go. We can see them setting themselves up, and as we mentioned, it is going to be once again locked out by the Roman Grosjean Esports guys. This time, though, Kastorp and Al Sabti, and they're going to be two that are going to be very hard to move, I feel, from that front grid. we're going to be looking towards Ihan Yayovsky, obviously starting out down in 10th position. He was the winner of the sprint race. Can he do it again? Can he win this 45-minute main race and work his way to the front once again?
Jakub Brzezinski, a bit tad late, I would say. I'm not sure if actually was behind his wheel, but he's now trying to catch up to the rest of the grid, because there is a gap now in the starting order. You can see that now on the TV shot on your left, probably, because that's not how it should be, that's for sure. So he tries to catch up, get back into that, otherwise he will start from last, but that will be a huge gap for him to overcome, even though we're now on a slightly longer race with 45 minutes. That might still be way too long. We just heard his engine was off. Brzezinski's engine was off. He probably couldn't find the right button to actually start it again. Oh,
what's happening? What's happening? This is not on my pad. Where's my keyboard?
Does he make it though? I mean, we see Castor and the race director just set driver should bunch up now. Jan von der Heide also not on the grid. He's currently in the pits, so I don't know what happened there. Got his right warming up tires. Jakub Brzezinski will definitely have the hottest tires coming there.
They are certainly bunched up. Look at Schoenfeld. He's basically on the rear end of Castor, ready and waiting to go. He is just hugging it, as well as Al-Sabti. He doesn't want to let anyone pass as they try and get themselves up. And here we go. Looks like we are live for the main race. Castor obviously going to be in the lead. Al-Sabti has managed to get himself into a good position here. And Yunus Ravio sneaking around the outside. That's going to give him the inside position on the next couple of corners as well. So he's going to sweep his way through into third.
And that was a strong start there. He went around the outside of Arne Schoenfeld from Majira Racing, and with that, Sancho is moving up one position. We still have Simic right behind him, and then Kevin Siggy on the BMW. Yayovsky and Capet still... oh, they're not 10th anymore. Alex Siebel's in 10th. Yayovsky up to 9th. Capet up to 8th. Something happened there. There was a touch between the Porsche and the AAA Corvette in the background. I think there was Payo Pav, and probably who dropped down the order there. Was that Kevin Rotting again? Yes. So Kevin Rotting spun out already.
Great start for Alex Siebel, though, down in 13th place, up to 10th already. Meanwhile, his teammate Dennis Jordan was alongside. He was back into 15th, so really a fantastic launching start for him there, as I see cars flying everywhere.
Yeah, I think that was on Payo Pav that we saw him trying to position that Porsche on the inside. There was not much space, and I think he touched the other car there, spun it around. I'll probably see that in the replay again. He's now next to, I guess that should be Wojciech Polesny. No, that's Sedlacek. That's Sedlacek, and then it's Dolan in the background of them. That's Shara and Pav next to each other, and then in between, that's Nico Barclay. So the car that we have in front now with Wojciech Polesny first. And that was a Sunshine Corvette coming in there sideways. All kind of trouble now in the back of the pack. What was that?
Yeah, that's caused all manner of trouble. It's got very messy down here. Unfortunately, Daniel Castracci, I get his name right one of these days, has also got caught up within that. Peter Briliak as well. They've all been involved within the rear end action. Hasn't gone well for them. Meanwhile, I can see Nikodem Wisniewski's also gone and out, unfortunately. So a bad race for him, it seems, today. Further up the field, Yayovsky has got himself that 9th position, of course, still on the heels of Aristo Capit, who we saw making some fantastic overtakes previously on Portland. We'll see whether he can do it once again as they try and push forward. But Alex Siebel, that 10th place, gaining 3 places on the start, starting to chase the back end of Yayovsky.
Yeah, he gained 2, I think. I think he started in 12th.
13th he was, yeah.
No, 12th, actually. The program says 12th. I think his teammate is 13th. Well, everyone's a bit white there over the grass. Just be aware of that. At Nurburgring, you have to pay the grass if you run over it. Al-Septi, Castor, Rivio, that's the top 3 right now, with Arne Schoenfeld looking at a podium spot, while being chased down by Joni Simicic, and then Siggy and Jimmy Nisula, who shows us a great race so far overall here. Is that Yuri Kastov going for the inside now against Hani Al-Sapti?
Siggy, oh!
That will be done right before the corner, so Yuri Kastov, our new leader, will Kevin Siggy... Oh, he's fighting hard right now with Joni Simicic.
Yeah. He just tried to send a dive up there and almost outbrained Simicic, but he wasn't having any of it. Didn't move his defensive line, just stayed the course as Siggy really trying to send him one way or the other, but didn't work out this time around. Siggy keeping the pressure on. Meanwhile, look at this. You can see Arne And Ravio under pressure. Is he got enough to try and get around the outside? He should. And he's going to have the left-hander on the inside, but he can't quite hold it out there. And it looks like Yunus Ravio will be able to hold position.
He's sticking to it, even though he will have more pressure the longer the race takes, probably, because I can't see Simic and Schoenfeld not trying to make a move. Or we get one of the replays. I think that is Wisniewski.
Yep.
He's just touching the grass, spinning the car around, then he's off. By the way, that house is not for sale right now if you really want to move to Virginia International Raceway. It's not one of the options. But yeah, that was all on him there. He misjudged the braking point, went a bit too hot, trying to make a move around the outside, and then basically ran out of tarmac there.
It is a common problem, especially on here. And it's actually not the normal curve that you do it. Kevin Siggy, once again, you can see him just having a little peek on Juni Simicic, but not able to make it work. And it's starting to stack up a little bit behind, I would say, Yunus Ravio. I'd say more Schoenfeld than anything else is where the queue's starting. And that's where everybody's looking. Simicic trying to make his move. Siggy trying to make the move on Simicic. Nisula sitting, waiting patiently behind alongside Risto Kappa and Yayovsky. They're just waiting eagerly for their moment to pass. Meanwhile, in the background, I just saw Lorenzo Arisi having a little peek on Ferris Stanley there.
Yeah, he definitely wants to make that move, trying to get closer to the RHE boys, because there's Ferris Stanley and then Alex Siebel between them. We get a replay of Payo Path. That is probably Nico Barkley in front of him. That's what I meant there.
That's not going to work, is it?
He was looking for the gap there, but there wasn't a gap, and then the one ACO car just basically got shot off into the corner there. No chance for, I think it was Nico Barkley actually. No, it was Borja Milan, because he DNF'd afterwards. So Borja Milan, the teammate of Nico Barkley.
I blame the race manager for that one.
I'm not sure how much influence I had on that one, because I can tell you that was definitely not a gap. That one didn't exist, and it probably also didn't exist in any other dimension.
Look, the Porsches have a much smaller bonnet than the Corvettes, so he just assumed that it could fit through there. No, we're not going to give that one either. Okay.
Yep. I'm really sorry. I have to blame my own driver for that one, because it's definitely on him there. He tried to make a run. He was quicker. He tried to make to move the car anywhere where there was space, but was blocked there already. And then
oh no, Nisula, Jimmy Nisula spun out. Just a complete driver error there, and that sends him out and spinning, and that's going to force him out. He was running in 7th place at the time, and that puts obviously the rest of the field up there. Siggy and Capit and Yayovsky all gaining from that one. That just looked like he simply maybe just put a tire on the grass. I couldn't see. He was just definitely sent to complete driver error. There's no one near him. It's a shame, really, because he was running well.
Yeah, Jimmy Nisula really did a good job so far, until now, basically. Also, I see that Nuno Pinto from AAA Esports is listed as a DNF, so it's not really a very strong season for him so far. Started in 17th, and unfortunately is now in 27th listed after that DNF. It's probably the AAA car we saw being involved in the crash there.
Here's the replay. Here we go. Let's have a look at this. Okay, this is previously.
Let's see the VIR versus, I think it's Canestracci, or, yeah, yeah, that's Canestracci. Oh, he just runs in the back of one of the Porsches.
They've just collected both Porsches, yeah.
Wow, they challenged each other into the braking zone there, and it seems like both forgot that at one point you have to brake. There's no other option. So, wow, that was, I'm surprised about that one, I have to say, because they really overshot that completely, and then using both Porsches, that was Shara and Pef, as braking blocks, basically. Yeah, it's like that was very hard. I wonder if the Porsche had just been so slow due to the fight in front of them. There was a Ferrari and the Corvette fighting in front, so I wonder if they basically bunched up like crazy, and with that, the Corvettes were a bit too hot there.
Yeah, definitely. Way too hot. I don't really know what was going on with that one. That's a little hard to understand. I'll have to speak to the driver. Oh, Simicic just having a little peek there. Sorry, Schoenfeld having a little peek on Yunus Ravio. Simicic was looking to try and take advantage. Didn't work out for him, though. Alex Siebel obviously up into 9th because of the spin that came with Jimmy Nisula, but still down in 16th, by the way, still running, so he's managed to get a grip of it. There is some really big runoffs here, luckily. And speaking of, Schoenfeld is still continuing to try and get on through. He should be able to have position here. He's on the inside, and Arnie has managed to make it work, trying to retake that position. Back on Ravio, no! They connect! turning in. Didn't really have a position to turn in there onto Ravio, and that sends Arnie off the track. And Ravio will hold position, but Simicic is right on his back end. Kevin Siggy's looking to make the move. Actually, Siggy is blocking. Simicic could not move to take over Ravio because Siggy was in the way. And now they're 3 adrift into the corner. That's not really how it's going to work. They do manage to get out cleanly somehow. Kevin Siggy trying to get around the outside of Yuri Simicic. He will have the inside drive right now, and he's made the move stick. Kevin Siggy up to 4th.
And that's exactly what we talked about earlier. Like, if you make a move and it goes wrong, then all of a sudden you find yourself in a lot of trouble. And that was Jonas Ravio against, who was involved there before? Arne Schönfleth. And due to them connecting and losing a lot of pace, it was Simicic and Kevin Siggy all of a sudden getting involved there as well. And Kevin Siggy coming out on top against Simicic. That is a very, very strong move. And now Simicic has Capet and Nejovski full picture in his rear view mirror. You see that there, like both RAG cars are right behind him, so he will probably get busy the next laps when on board with Kevin Siggy, who's looking at Jonas Ravio. They're going very wide there because they have to get all the way to the curb there to get the momentum throughout that turn. Or we get the replay again. That is Arne Schönfleth versus Jonas Ravio. And we see, oh, he went over the grass there and tried to get back into the inside again. But Jonas Ravio was already there. He can't become invisible all of a sudden. And with that, Arne Schönfleth now down to, let's check that real quick. Oh, he dropped a lot. Dropped to 18th now.
Yeah, it really sent him down. Unfortunately, it didn't work out so well for him. It's actually running even lower than that. I think he may well be a goner. We'll see whether he manages to pull things back. Meanwhile, Kevin Siggy keeping the pressure onto Jonas Ravio now. He wants the challenge for the podium. See if he can get himself into that top 3. Obviously, we do see the 2 front runners of Yuri Kastorp and Al Sabti. Al Sabti actually putting a bit of pressure onto Yuri as well there. But you see Jonas Ravio with Siggy on his back door. Simicic, and don't forget, just behind them, watching it all play out. Risto Kappa and Nejovski quietly going about their business with 33 minutes to go.
Yeah, they definitely want to make a move, and they got plenty of time for that. I'm just really surprised compared to Portland. It takes them a lot longer now to get through the pack and back into the top 5. I mean, if we compare that to the previous races, then normally they would be around top 5 right now, and they aren't, right? Because they're 6th and 7th. That is somehow close, but they have been a lot higher previously on the races. While we see how Nisula ended his very good run up at the front with a driver error.
Bring your attention to the 2 Ferraris. They're having a great old battle, 12th and 13th place. Said the second Martin Drillen having a cracking old duel right now with Dennis Jordan hot on their heels. So they're both battling for obviously trying to chase down the top 10. Speaking of the top 10, Lorenzo and Arisi and Michi Hoya, obviously 2 challengers, also fighting for that position. But those Ferraris having a great old battle, and Martin Drillen's going to try and send it. Don't think he's really going to have position here, but he's going to be able to get it past. Is he going to get past before the corner? Yes, he will. That was clean.
A very good move here by Martin Dillon for Jonalese Esports, taking the Varga Sim Racing car piloted by Settlercheck here. And I think Dennis Jordan also got a lot closer due to that. Look, that's the blue and white Corvette in the background. He might have a chance soon to try to get involved in that Ferrari fight right in front of him. See Cedar Via, the other Sentra car, started 22nd, currently in 26th, which is last due to the DNFs of Pinto, Monan, Wisniewski, and Jan von der Heide. So Sentra down 1 car already and 1 car further back. Jonas Ravio 3rd for them though, and he's struggling to keep position against Kevin Siggy. I just saw it on a different camera there. He's feeling a lot of pressure right now. And Alsepti and Kastorp still running away. That's a huge gap for them already, 4 seconds.
Yeah, massive gap. They're basically having their own little race right now as they continue on. Actually, a lot of pressure on Yuri Kastorp to hold station there because Alsabti wants the points, don't forget. Has got a bit of making up to do because don't forget he's got nothing to throw away. He obviously missed the Portland race, so he needs to try and get maximum points here in the main race. 35 points is what he wants. Ferry Stanley still running well in the HM Engineering, up in 9th place. Now on hot on the heels of Alex Siebel with Lorenzo Arisi on his tail. Michi Hoya gaining ground as well. Back on there, looking to get into that top 10, along with obviously the 2 Ferraris, which we just saw a moment ago.
Oh, Kevin Siggy on the inside of Jonas Ravio right now before the S's, so that is a chance here. Yeah, once again, getting the move done before they actually finish the braking there. Nicely done by the Team Redline driver, sending Sancho down the order. So no podium for them right now. It will be all RNG Esports and Redline. Kevin Siggy, who's really scoring big on this BMW every single race. The BMW received, I think, 5 kilograms after the BOP, so it also got a lot heavier, while the Porsche and Ferrari, I think Ferrari stayed, Porsche lost a bit of kilograms. So we'll see how that plays out further down. Siggy, 4 positions he won so far. Really doing well right now. Alex Siebel in 8th with 5 positions, also strong. Durland on 12 for 7. That's really, really good for them. We see Jimmy Nisula has lost 9 after his spin early on. And Michi Hoyer now close to the top 10 as well.
Yeah, posting some very consistent fast laps as well, Kevin Siggy. So looking very good to get into that podium. It's great to see that Kevin now in that BMW can make these moves and manage to try and get a move past them. Yunus Ravio is going to try and settle himself back down though, because Yuni Simicic behind him is looking for that gap, but he's got to be more worried about the two. Roman Grosjean Esports, Risto Capit and Yayovsky starting to feel the tyres warming up nicely. 30-minute clock passed, and now they want to try and work their way in towards that top 5.
And we'll see if the Corvette loses a lot of pace later on, because now with the added weight, it should have helped them a bit at the start, because it was more load on the tyres. What we see a change for the lead now. Sabdi overtaking Castor into the S's, just like everything else. And we see Simicic side by side with Yunus Ravio on the same corner in the background. So the Burst Esports IndyCar Alpha 82 champion here from FSR trying to make a move, and he lost a bit of time again. So Capit and Yayovsky closed that gap, but he was side by side with Yunus Ravio. Yunus once again able to defend his 4th position. Doesn't want to lose another one after Kevin Siggy passed him a lap earlier. It'll be very interesting to see how long Simicic takes now to get back onto Ravio again, or if Capit and Yayovsky will be a bit quicker there and make a move themselves. See the replay from that. That's Simicic in front. That is Yunus Ravio. So he wants to make the same move Kevin Siggy did, but he couldn't force the way through there. He was not as strong on the brakes as he thought he will be. And then on the left-hander, he had to give it back to Yunus Ravio. Great performance there.
Yeah, and that obviously move for Al Sabti to take the lead is fantastic. We've seen he's been hot on the heels of Yuri Kastorp the whole race, and now Al Sabti wants to try and stretch himself, like we said. Missing Portland, it's a big deal. It means he hasn't got any of those fallback options. If you're unaware, what I mean is there's 6 races throughout the season, and the drivers can choose to remove one of those races to obviously equalize their points as best they can. Maybe there's something where they've had a crash or DNF, or for Al Sabti's purposes was unable to take part in that race. So it's great to see he's got himself in the lead right now, although Yuri doesn't look like he wants to give it up too easily. Kevin Siggy's trying to get a gap on Yunus Ravio, but he's struggling a little bit. But it's great to see that BMW, as you say, starting to stretch its legs. As I say, Yuri doesn't want to give it up. He absolutely is going to keep trying on Al Sabti, but Al Sabti manages to hold on for now.
It's great that these guys are racing each other for the lead here and not just chilling out there at the front. I really, really appreciate that move from Romain Grosjean Esports. We'll see Simicic. He had a quick look up the inside of Yunus Ravio, but not really in a spot there to launch an attack. Let's see, Lorenzo Arisi still running strong there, started 11th, now in 10th. Ferris Stanley will also be happy. Is Arisi there on the back? Yeah, Ferris Stanley and Lorenzo Arisi. They are side by side going into the right-hander. Well, they got Alex Siebel right in front of them. So a lot of these two-way battles right now. That's the bell I was just talking about. That was Lorenzo Arisi against Ferris Stanley. Well, we'll see Haniel Sabdi from the inside. Look at the rear view mirror. That looks amazing. See the car approaching, and then, yep, they touch real quick. It was that tiny touch that cost Yuri Kastorp all that momentum going forward. And with that, Sabdi was able to remain the lead.
Just about. Very, very close between them. Simicic continued to chase on Ravio with Risto Capit and Yayovsky hot on his heels. He was a little bit closer a moment ago, but Risto has managed to gain himself a bit of ground. Speaking of gaining ground, the man on your screen, Kevin Siggy, has got himself a second gap now to Yunus Ravio, the man he passed just a few laps ago. So really setting a charge on. Has he got enough, though, to chase down the two Corvettes in the front of Yuri, who has just passed once again Al Sabti, and this time he makes it stick.
Another lead change between these two teammates. It's still 25 minutes, guys. Like, if you want to do an overtake now each and every lap, then it will be a very exhausting race for you guys, I can tell you that. A bit further down the pack, VIR is still all the way back, and that is a Wayframe Esports car in front of him. I wonder where that's coming from. Well, we'll see the replay again. Cast up against Al Sabti. Same old backstretch, basically, they're using for that. You know, we did, oh yeah, very clean. Get it done before the corner, and this time they're not going side by side, not risking it again.
Yeah, I don't think that it's not worth it, right? There's both in first and second. It's 35, 30 points, so it's still great points. There's no point connecting with one another, especially when it was such a clean move as well. It's like there's no way you're going to defend that other than literally steering across in front of him. So just straight to give it up. You've got 30 minutes still to go, or 25 minutes still to go. So you've still got another chance at retaking that position. It does mean that Kevin Siggy, while he's battle, is trying to chase them, but they're actually gaining in lead, despite the fact they're racing each other. So just shows how fast those two drivers are going. It does mean, of course, that Risto Kappa and Yayovsky still yet to make any ground. Yuni Simičić is doing very well to actually keep himself well away from them and keep the pressure on Yunus Ravio in that Zancho in 4th place.
I wonder if, like, is it just me, or did it got a lot darker on the track?
It has. I was just thinking that. I thought maybe it's my lighting in here. Yuri, is he going for it again? No, is this a replay? It's got to be a replay. No, they are side by side. I'm watching them right now. This is live. They are side by side through the corners again. Oh my God, you could put a little bit of paper between the two around that corner and it would have stuck up in the air. Al Sabti still just about makes it work and retakes the front.
I just hope that these guys are keeping it on the track. I mean, it's great to watch this battle, but I won't be afraid if that would be my team, that they might ruining there. I mean, we all remember some specific races from Formula 1, although that was, I think, a quick flash by Yuri Kastop here, signaling Al Sabti what's happening. But it got a lot darker. It can't be that it was like this in the beginning. So, really wonder, do we get that rain? We're crazy. We'd love some rain racing action. Oh. That was cast up, nearly running a bit too wide there. At one point, you're running out of tarmac and out of grip. Then you find yourself in the barrier, spinning off for all that grass available here at Virginia International Raceway.
Well, the gap has shortened a little bit, down to 3 seconds with Siggy, 3.3. And actually, Yunus Ravio has gained on him, so they're all actually catching both. So this battle between Al Sabti and Kastorp is slowing them down a little bit now. So everybody's starting to gain that little bit of ground as they continue to try and charge through. Looking at the two front runners just sliding a little bit there.
Yeah, that was Kastorp running a tad too wide there, and then lost the grip on the outside tires. You can easily lose the car there, so we keep it on track. Siggy, Ravio, Simičić, they conclude the top of 5, while we see Kastorp going for it once again. No, is he retaking the lead, or is Hani Al Sabti sticking to the inside? No, he might be able to keep the upper hand here against his teammate. Yeah, around the outside on the left-hander, and Al Sabti remains in the lead. So these two really putting on a show. I love that. And that is Yunus Ravio. Did he drop positions? Yes, he lost the position against Simičić.
Yes, he's got past him. Yeah, it's exactly what I was about to point out there. Risto Kapit's actually on the back end, so I don't know what's happened to Ravio, whether it was just simply a driver error, whether he ran a bit wide, or whether he got past, and Risto Kapit is going to try and send it through. Not going to work.
You see what I see? That is a working wiper already. That means we actually get rain. They wouldn't put them on just for fun, so it is starting to rain. We can see it.
Look at the rear spoiler. Look at the rear spoiler. You can see the raindrops there. As it looks like Brzezinski tries to make the move through on Polesny there, and he does manage to make it work. So it is raining, and yes, there are wipers. Everybody getting themselves set up. The question is, how much rain will we get? How much?
This will be crazy. It's like, yeah, how wet will the track get, and who finds the right balance now between pushing enough, because they still have the grip, or pushing too much, because they're not adapted yet to the new grip level. So it will be very interesting to see that right now, especially in this fight between Alsapti and Castorp. And the same, obviously, for everyone else. They all have to get used to it. They got the weather forecast before the race. They get that each and every time. There was a slight chance for rain, and it seems like weather got decided that it will rain today. This makes it a lot more interesting. Look at that. All these raindrops on Yuri Castorp's car. Now they have to be really precise.
Oh, side by side, Simičić making the move, and he's got through on Kevin Siggy. Simičić from 5th place up to 3rd now, passing Ravio and Siggy. Seems like the rain is very nice for Simičić.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's down to now how much the drivers are still willing to push each lap, because with the rain now coming down, they basically get a new track every single lap. Like, something that worked in the previous lap might not work on the one you're on right now. We still got 20 minutes to go, so it is enough time for it to get really wet or even stop raining all again.
Oh, Kevin Siggy getting a little slippy there himself. That looked like he was struggling for grip on that corner to try and keep on the back end of Simičić. Definitely got a little bit slidey here. We're seeing the replay of Simičić just cruising on past, and like you say, this is just people just unsure on the braking point coming in. Simičić, very nice clean maneuver as well to pass Siggy there. Meanwhile, Risto Capit, and I think that's Ravio, he's just gone through on there trying to make it work there. So Ravio still managing to hold position though on them.
Yeah, he still has that fight against two of the biggest names in this grid, so it won't be easy, but he's doing an awesome job. So kudos to him. Really a great driver. Lorenzo Arisi still in 9th, not close yet to Ferris Stanley to really make a move. And we see there's more rain coming. It's getting darker at the horizon. So I really love that. I see Ida Millward telling us Jonas is finished, so he wants to ski then Scandinavian flick. Oh, Ferris Stanley is off, and that is a Waveframe Esports car next to him. That's Lorenzo Arisi. I said he wasn't in a position to make a move, and all of a sudden we see both cars, and I think that's a lost tire for Ferris Stanley. Yep, front left, no tire for him at all. That's DNF now. So, yeah.
And that was 9th and 10th. And actually, meanwhile, Dennis Jordan looking to put the move past the Ferrari of Sedlasek. So it's Sedlasek and Martin Drillen, the two Ferraris, up into 9th and 10th that will benefit from this. And we're definitely seeing a lot of rain starting to kick up off the tires now. It's starting to get real slippy.
Yeah, especially since some of these cars already ran through their tires. Now temperatures are changing completely with the rain being there. So I think we'll have a lot of action for the last 18 minutes, depending on how strong the rain will get now. Let's get the replay. That is Arisi. Is he already past Ferris Stanley there? No, Ferris Stanley's at the front. Oh, both running wide, and Arisi probably stepped on the brakes there as he saw Ferris Stanley slipping away, and with that, he lost the back end of his Corvette. Obviously, all the weight going onto the front tires, and then the rear gets too light.
Guess what? Yuri's back in the lead. Yes, he's regained the lead of Hani Al-Sabti. They continue to trade back and forward. But while this is happening, look at Yuri Simičić. He's inside the 3-second marker now, 2.7, and gaining on the leaders. So slowly, Simičić seems to be the man in the wet rain. He's absolutely delivering in the wet, it would appear. Meanwhile, Jonas Ravio was very heavy on the brakes a moment ago, and he almost caught Risto Kappa and Yayovsky off, and they almost went in the back end of him as he was just a little bit delicate going into that corner.
Simičić running the same time as the guys up front, like roughly, but interesting to see that the pace dropped by 2 seconds. So Darius had been fastest laps is 141. And then they dropped to 142 during their fights, 143 in between, and now they're all at 146 at least. So
Risto's through. Risto, oh, he's trying to connect him. Risto's been collected a little bit, turned in on Jonas Ravio, and Risto spins. He should be able to get himself back in position, around about 8th, 9th position. He will get back on the track. Yayovsky, of course, now moves up into 6th place and just turned in a little bit on Jonas there. I don't think Jonas could do anything about it. We'll maybe check that in the replay.
Crazy maneuvers now everywhere, with everyone trying to make a move and gain some positions in the rain. I mean, who will become our big rain legend, basically? Let's see, further down the pack, we see Lorenzo Arisi. Yeah, he's currently in the pits, repairing after that incident with Ferris Stanley. Last on the grid is currently Shara.
Cap it off the track again. Cap it off the track again, back down to 9th, and I think Sedlacek should be able to pass him in 10th as well, but now Risto Yeah, just getting a little bit too slidey now.
I mean, obviously, no one wants to come in for rain tires because that costs a lot of time, and you can run slicks on the tarmac like that. It's still warm enough, and as long as the tarmac doesn't get too wet, they still somehow work if you're not running offline, because we can see that the line is slightly drier than the rest of the track, obviously, with all the cars running around there. But rain has stopped, as we can see with here the front end on Al Sabti's hood, so it seems like everyone got lucky there with just a bit of rain, but it changed a lot.
Yeah, it did. Yayovsky actually drifting a little bit wide on that corner as well, so Ravio is safe for now. Siebel actually gaining some ground on the pair as he runs wide. Let's have a look at this. What's this replay showing us? I think we're just coming out of the replay, actually. It's Michi Hoyer hot on the heels of Dennis Jordan. This is down in 11th and 12th right now, as Dennis Jordan starting to defend from them. He's on the back of the Ferraris as well, but it looks like Michi Hoyer is going to make the move stick here. Nope, just eases off on the back. Doesn't want to go too hot, especially with the track as slick as it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, it stopped raining, but as you can see, it's still wet offline because no one drove there yet. So if you want to make a move, you have to be aware of the changing grip conditions of the ideal lines. It will be very interesting to see how much that still impacts. We see Jakub Brzezinski sliding a bit, so it is still slippery. By the way, Jimmy Nusula is now up to 13th again after the spin, so it's definitely moving
in the right
again.
Direction.
Yeah, it's the right direction, that's for sure. But yeah, seeing Sedlacek and where's the second? Martin Durland on 8th right now for John Alesi Esports in the Ferrari. So it seems like they have a chance to really score some proper points in Virginia, especially after the rain.
I think Yerny Simicic should be hoping for more rain. He's definitely seemed to be the one that was gaining the most during that little flurry that we had, but he's back to a 3-second gap between Yuri Kastorp and Al Sabti, who are continuing to challenge. They did ease off a little bit in that rain. I think they realized we're going to have to take it easy here, guys, so we don't want to wipe each other out. We're going to try and secure as many points as we can. Yayovsky still running in 6th as well, the other Roman Grosjean Esports driver, still on the back end of Yunus Ravio, who's holding station, been defending. I feel like he's been defending this whole race, actually. Yunus Ravio, Jimmy Nasula was defending. Unfortunately for him, is down in 13th.
13 minutes is still to go, so the top two front runners are not yet sure who's taking the win here, if they don't make a mistake, or if Simicic actually catches on to them. Martin Durland, he's under a bit of pressure by Risto Capit. We see that Capit is a lot quicker out of the turns there, and on the right, that's Yayovsky against Jonas Raivio, the 5th in 6th. Kevin Segi still able to hold on to 4th, bad at all. But yeah, I think that the next move that we will see, if it's not Yayovsky against Raivio, is Martin Durland and Risto Capit. Oh, Yayovsky on the inside of Raivio already. That was way quicker than I anticipated, but not yet enough for him to get up to the top 5.
Didn't see what that yellow was for. I just saw the yellow in Sector 2, so I didn't see who had gone off, if anyone, but didn't quite see what it was signifying. But Yayovsky very much hot on the heels of Ravio, desperately trying to get through Yuri. He's give a bit of a gap to Hani Al Sabti, and the top 5 is generally pretty safe right now. It's Yayovsky that's looking to break into that top 5 on the back of Yunus Ravio. Great drive from Alex Siebel, by the way. Been quietly going about his business up into 7th now. I think it was 12th we decided on where he started. So does manage to make it work. Is that going to work? That's the front 2 once again. Hani, is he going to give it up to Yuri?
They lose a lot of time. Guys, it's 11 minutes and 40 seconds with Simic clearly visible in their rearview mirror, and they're losing a lot of time. They might bring the Burst Esports driver back into this fight for the lead if they go even further. You can see that spray on the right, no spray on the left, so it's still wet offline and dry online. So, I mean, this is an online race, so it should be dry everywhere, but you know what I mean, right?
He gained half a second on that. The little battle they had there, he gained half a...
He did, yeah. It's crazy. And we also have another DNF, by the way. Kevin Rotting is out.
Yayovsky goes through on Yunus Ravio, so he's managed to make the move stick. He's up into the top 5 now. I think we may be seeing the replay of the front 2 runners here. This is Al Sabti and Yuri Kastorp having their little battle.
It is crazy that these guys are still fighting for it. I love that there are no team orders at all. It's really amazing to watch. By the way, that car that you saw in the background, that is Payopath on 21st, because everyone on from 22nd is down a lap. So these guys, they might start overtaking into the top 20 on this race.
I mean,
but they also get Sebring involved sooner than later in this fight for the lead.
I do suspect that obviously the guys that were maybe down the back maybe went in for some rain tires or something like that. I don't know, just maybe just a little change to change the settings or something. See if they could, I don't know, benefit from something crazy as they had gone off. Kevin Rotting into the tire barrier there. Not working out as he planned. Simičić inside the 2-second marker now. He is gaining ground. Has he got the time? 10 minutes left. Has he got the time to gain on either Yuri or Hani Al-Sabti? And more importantly, if he does gain it, can he make the move?
Well, I mean, let's check. Hani Al-Sabti last lap was a 147.7, and Simičić ran a 146.6. So obviously they were fighting there, but they also don't look like they will stop fighting soon. So depending on what RAG Esports does there up the front, Simičić has the chance here to actually close that gap right before the finish of the main race.
He's continuing to drive. I mean, effectively, he's doing time trials on the heels of them. So he's certainly proven to know the certain best positions where he can find the grip when it was wet. Of course, drying out track now conditions. He's continuing to force the pressure as best he can on the back end of them. Yayovski actually gaining on Kevin Siggy as well.
We also, by the way, lost Peter Bielak. That's another DNF. So another Williams Esports driver. So both of them out right now. Wisniewski out already. Peter Bielak out now. So naps a day to forget for the Williams outfit. That's for sure. Not good in the sprint race.
Yayovski wide. Yayovski wide. Just went wide there. Ravia will go through Yayovski. I didn't see whether it was just a simple unforced error, but he was on the grass running very wide, and that's giving Yunus Ravia a chance to go through. Yayovski right on his back end though, so it looks like he wants to try and take that position back.
Yeah, that fight is not over yet. Look at Yayovski immediately charging at the Sancho Corvette in front of him. Alex Siebel is a bit further in the distance, and that in front of them now is Payopath, and they have to run through traffic basically. Now we're back to endurance racing on rFactor 2, so they have to overtake that Porsche by Payopath. Payopath just bringing the Porsche out of the way completely, basically. I think he smashed into the wall there. I'm not sure because that car was gone so quickly. Yeah, that's a DNF. So Payopath, after winning a lot of positions due to the DNFs, would still be on a fairly good spot basically in the finish. Now DNF started in 16th and 20th after the DNF, but he will drop further down because Lorenzo Risi is still running, but he's down further on the track, so it will take a while. I mean, that's one way of getting your car out of the way of people that try to overtake you. Well, let's look at Peter Bielak from Williams Esports. I said he DNF'd already, so let's see.
No,
he lost it on the brake. I think he tapped the brakes there.
No, you think? I've got to be honest. I've seen Peter Bielak do this a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. It's suddenly that left-hand pull of the wheel disconnect.
Oh, true. Oh, he had that on other events.
He had it on Sebring.
Yeah.
He had it on the IndyCar.
I thought he might tip the brakes slightly and then lost the rear end,
sure.
but that's too crazy. No, that's too crazy.
That's just jump off to the left.
Oh man, he will be furious about this. Someone has to save this guy. Like, he's quick, he's good. So make sure that he can actually race.
Well, Yuri actually backed off a little bit on Hani Al-Sabti. It seems like they've decided to settle on their race as we have just under 7 minutes to go here. It doesn't mean Simičić is not able to gain much ground on them, it does appear. Kevin Siggy still down in 4th place, running in that BMW. Got 4th in the sprint race, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So great performance from him so far. Yunus Ravio holding out 5th place with Yayovski running wide in the previous lap, back down into 6th place. It does mean Alex Siebel keeping station in 7th, and the 2 Ferraris in 8th and 10th, with Risto Capit between them. Risto Capit hot on the rear end of Martin Dulin.
That was the spin by Payopath. Oh, I lost the rear wing there. Yeah, that's race over, obviously. Oh, quick moment of getting distracted, not
Risto
being
Capit's
fully
going
concentrated.
It's going to put the move in. Risto Capit through into 8th place, or is he? Martin Dillon not giving up the place and just muscles his way back into position. Nice work from the Ferrari driver.
If Dillon can actually hang on to that, means another 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Not that much, but if Risto Capit is on your heels, then these 5 minutes basically turn into an eternity.
Just 1.5 seconds for Yuni Simoncic behind Yuri Kastorp. He is gaining, but I think he's running out of time. Unfortunately, 5 minutes remaining of this race. Does seem that he's not going to quite get the time to get in there. Meanwhile, Yayovsky, well, I don't think it's the dream race that he was hoping for after a great sprint race. He hasn't been able to make up too much ground like he did previously in Portland. He's still stuck behind Yunus Ravio, who's doing a great job at keeping him in his mirrors.
Yeah, it would be so cool to see Simoncic closing that gap right at the end, but yeah, with under 5 minutes, I think that's too much. 1.9 seconds, 2 seconds basically. I think that's a bit too much, but fight is still on here between Yayovsky and Ravio for a top 5 finish. Yunus Ravio had his fair share of action today already, so it's probably totally sweaty right now. So I wonder if he can still hold on to that against Yayovsky. Risto Capit at 9th, so he started 8th, finishing 9th maybe. Not really what he was looking for, I'm absolutely sure about that. Let's see now, Yayovsky going for the inside line once again. He's just have to brake a bit later. He got all that push from the slipstream earlier, so normally this works. And yep, Ravio has to step back. No chance for him to stay side by side for the entry. And also Capit, same moment, same corner against Martin Dillon, and the John Alesi Ferrari drops down a position to 9th.
Yeah, not a lot he could do about that move. And now with 4 minutes to go, we just have a couple of laps remaining. Yuri Kastorp still trailing behind Hani Al-Sabti. Is he going to try and make one more move? We've seen them taking over each other about 20 times throughout this race, it feels like. And we're like, if they do, if they go for it, Yuni Simoncic now 1.3 seconds off the back of them with 4 minutes remaining. He's gaining, but I don't think he's got the time.
It is not enough. I mean, he can see them, and it will be so tempting for him to really push and try everything to close that gap. But it's also risky, right? He needs the points for the championship. He wants to score good in the overall championship. For that, he might have to sacrifice Virginia, basically.
I've got to be honest. I feel that Yuri's going to put a move in. Yuri is positioning himself to really go for it on Hani Al-Sabti, and now, you know, there could be a moment where they collect each other, and suddenly we see Simoncic go through. Simoncic is gaining quickly on the back of them as they keep going. As Al-Sabti is basically having to be defensive right now.
Yeah, he has to. It will be very interesting to see. It's 2 minutes 50 seconds. Let's quickly check. Kevin Sigge still in 5th, in 4th. Yayovsky in 5th.
He's going for
there's the move by Kastorp,
yep.
And that will be an easy one. Yeah, Hani Al-Sabti basically opening it up there and letting his teammate through. But once again, it seems like they lost a bit of time. I think Simoncic is a bit closer than before. So
just a second between them now.
Ravio
with 3 minutes.
Also passed Yayovsky again. So Zanjo back in the top 5.
Very nicely done. Yayovsky's going to be chomping at the bit about that one. And now Sabti, he's going to be kicking himself. Is he going to try and make the move? 2 minutes remaining as we have had just about everything in this race. The rain coming out for the first time in the GT Pro Series and really putting the cat amongst the pigeons, it were. Let's have a quick look at this replay. This is Yunus Ravio putting the move, and it's Yayovsky once again going wide, running wide. Doesn't seem to be able to find the grip, and that's going to be a simple pass, I think, feel for Ravio here, as Yayovsky is relatively defenseless. Meanwhile, Simoncic, he's still a second adrift, but he's closing on Al-Sabti.
Oh yeah, Al-Sabti did a mistake out of the previous corner there, lost a bit of time again, so Simoncic is coming closer. He's creeping into the fight for the lead here in the very last minute, maybe. And I wonder if Yayovsky maybe has ate through his tires early on with all the moves he had to make to actually make it that far. And he's still trying to close up to Yunus Ravio again.
And
maybe get some wide. There we go. Yeah, that's opening the fight for the lead now. It's the last minute, and Simoncic finally getting involved. Yuri Kastorp first, then Hani Al-Sabti, and that is the view from Burst Esports driver Simoncic and he will have a shot at the lead for sure. Look at that, using all that slipstream, trying to get close to this, trying to make move around. They want to go 3 wide, but there's no space for Simic. Blocked by the wall of RAG Esports cars right in front of him, but they are under pressure right now. All of a sudden, these two teammates had fought for nearly 45 minutes. They have someone joining the party here with Simic.
We got one more lap. They're going to go over the line right now. We're going to have one more lap. And you could see it. There's a side slide coming in there. And Simic, you could see him just for a brief moment. He's like, I could go around the outside of them. I could do this. And then it's like, no, okay, let's be realistic. Let's try and keep our brain here. But he's right on the back of Yuri Kastorp right now as Hani Al-Sabti manages to regain the lead once again. And it looks like in this one final lap, he's going to have a chance to make the move. And he's got to make sure he's on the back of them as they get to the S-bend. That's where the move's been coming from, down that back straight. That's where it seems to work best. There is a small chance before the Oak corner, but I don't think he's going to be able to have enough. It looks like he's a little adrift from them right now.
Also, Yovski made it around Ravio. Yeah, that's it. That's the move here. Jonas Ravio losing 5th position again to Yovski, so that is an ongoing battle. So, clock ran out, that's it. Battle for first is still on though. Simic a bit further away than he was hoping for because he needs that slipstream. He has to close that gap, and he's doing really well on the braking here. Look at that. Amazing by Simic, but then out of the corner, he's not close enough. There's no slipstream for everyone. This will not be enough to make any move into the S's.
He's got to hope that Kastorp tries to make a move and there's some sort of error comes out, but I think Simic is realizing it's not going to work out. Yuri Kastorp's going to make the move. Is it going to work for them? They connect!
Oh, they connect!
Oh, my word! Simic is pushing on through. He's got himself into 2nd place. Yuri Kastorp will run wide, and Simic gains from it. You knew they were going to make that move. The error comes through, and Yerny Simic benefits massively from it. It's going to be Hani Al-Sabti that will take the win here, but what a drive. And unfortunately for Yuri Kastorp, it sends him down, tumbling into 6th place, and it moves obviously every up in the field. And more importantly, the BMW with Kevin Siggy gets onto the podium as well.
Wow, what a finish. Look at that. These two teammates were giving it to each other the entire race, and then this last touch, yeah, that sends Kastorp into a drift, and there's no chance for him to recover from that. With that, Simic through, Siggy through, Yayovski and Ravio through, so Jonas Ravio back in the top 5, and Yuri Kastorp, instead of being 2nd or 1st, only in 6th. And wasn't it Kastorp also in Portland losing the win there? So that will be his 2nd race in a row where he had the chance to claim the top spot and ended up, with a different position.
Well, I think the comms in the channel just below us is probably hot and juicy right now in the Roman Grosjean Esports channel. You know, we talked about it. They got the team orders. Nothing's in there. They were fury to race for, and Hani Al-Sabti is the man that benefits it in the end. Gets himself the big 35 points on the board, and that is massive for the man that won the first race at Sebring as well. So he's going to be right back in contention in the championship. Yovski down in 4th place, the championship leader right now. But it's great to see Kevin Siggy getting back in there relevant with that BMW onto the podium once again.
That was just a crazy finish. And I have to say, obviously it's the usual, like, oh, how could they do that? But hey, we wanted everyone to race for the win, no matter if they're teammates or not, and that's exactly what they delivered here in round 3 of the rFactor 2 Cheeky Pro Series, powered by VCO. So I'm more than happy about it, even though if it ended in a spin for Kastorp, but that was racing action at its best. Absolutely lovely here, what the pros are putting on for us. And I would say it was a race with a lot of victims. I mean, 23rd to 30th, that are all DNFs. They all lost it on the track somewhere, were involved in crashes. We saw people just spinning out on their own, so not an easy track to tame at all. Then the rain we had in between. So
I would like
tough
to
challenge.
say it wasn't expected, but let's face it, it was. You know, both Aiden and Lewis were betting on how many they were going to go out of the oak corner and how many people we were going to lose. And sure enough, it's kind of what we expected. You can see it right there, 23 down, all DNFs. You know, everybody just putting a toe on the grass. I think for Nikitin Wisniewski is definitely going to be one to forget. Unfortunately, obviously, he was running up in, I believe it was 4th place in the sprint race when he first went out, and that sent him down, tumbling down to 27th where he started and never really looked back from there on in, unfortunately for him. Obviously, you know, it was a race that had everything, really. The rain came down for the first time, and it was Yoni Simoncic that looked to be benefiting it from in the most. Obviously, Kevin Siggy, at the time before that rain came, he was the one that was on the charge. He took 3rd place, was actually a second adrift from the field as well, which was, at the time, I believe, Yunus Ravio. And then Simoncic, as soon as that rain came down from 5th place, just surged his way forward. He seemed to find the extra bit of grip that nobody else could.
Yeah, it was a really entertaining event here, and that was only round 3 of 6, so there are another 3 races for you guys out there to watch. Next up, we will travel to Germany, to the Nurburgring, 23rd of November for round 4 of the rFactor GT Pro Series powered by VCO, before we head over to Indianapolis and then Spa-Francorchamps as our last track to visit. Obviously, you don't have to wait for racing action for 2 weeks now, because next Monday, same plays, same channels, you will find the rFactor 2 GT Challenge Series powered by VCO. That's the feeder series for the pros. All drivers out there trying to qualify for that, they can all get involved in different splits. And then the top scoring drivers there, first of all, they move between the splits after every second race. But at the end of the season, the top guys also move up directly to the Pro Series, while we drop the lowest scoring drivers from Pro. And then the in-between ones, basically, they all find themselves in a relegation where less scoring pros go up against some of the GT Challenge drivers, trying to find position and points to be the last 5 to make it up to Pro Series. So there's a lot of action in the world of GT racing at rFactor 2. Don't miss out on that. It will be with Lewis McGlade and Aidan Millward on Monday. So write down on your calendar, and then we will be back on the 23rd of November, right?
Absolutely. Can't wait to see it. The Nurburgring. Go into your home, Renee. We'll see what sponsored corners can come in next by the gap of 2 weeks. See if anyone can throw new sponsorship in there.
Yeah, I'll probably just buy one of them right now. You never know. Could be the BPM chicane at the end of the track. But that's it for it today. I hope you guys out there enjoyed the race. Everyone enjoyed the race. And we're really entertaining for us here in the commentary booth. And then we'll be back 23rd of November or next week for the GT Challenge. Until then, take care. Goodbye.